throwing my leg up in my seat. Good morning. Oh my word. Happy Thursday. I was up till midnight last night. I'm so stupid. That's why I'm still wearing what I was wearing yesterday, because I slept in it. Judge me. Because I was up till midnight. It is my own fault. Alright. So therefore, I'm a little sleepy and we'll probably stumble over a few words this morning and you'll just have to figure out what I'm saying. Alright. The tribes east of the Jordan, Numbers 32. I can't find my glasses. I can't find my glasses anywhere in the house. And they're bifocals. I have no idea. The tribes of Reuben and Gad owned vast numbers of livestock. So when they saw that the lands of Jazer and Gilead were ideally suited for their flocks, and saw that the... See, I can't... When they saw that the lands of Jazer and Gilead were ideally suited for their flocks and herds, they came to Moses, Eleazar the priest, with the other leaders of the community. They said, "Notice the towns of Atoreth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Eliah, Sibmah, Nebo, and Beon. The Lord has conquered this whole area for the community of Israel, and it is ideally suited for all our livestock. If we have found favor with you, please let us have this land as our property, instead of giving us the land across the Jordan River." "Do you intend to stay here while your brothers go across and do all the fighting?" Moses asked the men of Gad and Reuben. "Why do you want to discourage the rest of the people of Israel from going across to the land the Lord has given them? Your ancestors did the same thing when I sent them to Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. After they went up to the valley of Eshcol and explored the land." What are you doing? "They discouraged the people of Israel from entering the land the Lord was giving them. The Lord was very angry with them, and he vowed, 'Of all those I rescued from Egypt, no one who is 20 years old or older will ever see the land I swore to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for they have not obeyed me wholeheartedly.' The only exceptions are Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua, son of Nun, for they have wholeheartedly followed the Lord. The Lord was angry with Israel and made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years, until the entire generation that sinned in the Lord's sight had died. But here you are, a brood of sinners, doing exactly the same thing. You are making the Lord angrier with Israel. If you turn away from him like this and he abandons them again in the wilderness, you will be responsible for destroying this entire nation." But they approached Moses and said, "We simply want to build pens for our livestock and fortified towns for our wives and children. Then we will arm ourselves and lead our fellow Israelites into battle until we have brought them safely to their land. Meanwhile, our families will stay in fortified towns we build here, so they will be safe from any attacks by the people. We will not return to our home until all the people of Israel have received their portions of land. But we do not claim any of the land on the other side of the Jordan. We would rather live here on the east side and accept this as our grant of land." Then Moses said, "If you keep your word and arm yourselves for the Lord's battles, and if your troops cross the Jordan and keep fighting until the Lord has driven out his enemies, then you may return when the Lord has conquered the land. You will have fulfilled your duty to the Lord and to the rest of the property and to the rest of the people of Israel. And to the land on the east side of the Jordan will be your property from the Lord. But if you fail to keep your word, then you will have sinned against the Lord, and you may be sure that your sin will find you out. Go ahead and build towns for your families and pens for your livestock, but do everything you have promised." Then the men of Gad and Reuben replied, "We, your servants, will follow your instructions exactly. Our children, wives, flocks, and cattle will stay here in the town of Gilead. But all who are able to bear arms will cross over to fight for the Lord, just as you have said." So Moses gave orders to Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders of the clans of Israel. He said, "The men of Gad and Reuben who are armed for battle must cross the Jordan with you to fight for the Lord. If they do, give them the land of Gilead as their property when the land is conquered. But if they refuse to arm themselves and cross over with you, they must accept the land with the rest of you in the land of Canaan." The tribes of Gad and Reuben said again, "We are your servants, and we will do as the Lord has commanded. We will cross the Jordan into Canaan fully armed to fight for the Lord, but our property will be here on this side of the Jordan." So Moses assigned the land to the tribes of Gad, Reuben, and half the tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph. He gave them the territory of King Sihon and the Amorites in the land of Og of Bashan, the whole land with its cities and surrounding lands. The descendants of Gad built the towns of Dibon, Adaroth, Arior, Atroth, Shophan, Jazer, Jogbehah, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran. These were all fortified towns with the pens for their flocks. The descendants of Reuben built the towns of Heshbon, Eliah, Kiriathaim, Nebo, Baal Meon, and Sibmah. They changed the names of the towns they conquered and rebuilt. Then the descendants of Machir of the tribe of Manasseh went to Gilead and conquered it, and they drove out the Amorites living there. So Moses gave Gilead to the Machirites, descendants of Manasseh, and they settled there. The people of Jair, another clan of the tribe of Manasseh, captured many of the towns in Gilead and changed the name of that region to the towns of Jair. Meanwhile, a man named Nobah captured the town of Kenneth and its surrounding villages, and he renamed the area Nobah after himself. Remembering Israel's journey. Numbers 33, 1 through 56. This is the route the Israelites followed as they marched. You're right, Kim. This is the route the Israelites followed as they marched out of Egypt under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. At the Lord's direction, Moses kept a written record of their progress. These are the stages of their march, identified by the different places where they stopped along the way. They set out from the city of Ramses in the early spring, on the 15th day of the first month, on the morning after the first Passover celebration. The people of Israel left defiantly, in full view of all the Egyptians. Meanwhile, the Egyptians were burying all their firstborn sons, whom the Lord had killed the night before. The Lord had defeated the gods of Egypt that night with great acts of judgment. After leaving Ramses, the Israelites set up camp at Succoth. Then they left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. They left Etham and turned back towards Pi-Harath, opposite of Baal-Zephon, and camped near Migdol. They left Pi-Harath and crossed the Red Sea into the wilderness beyond. Then they traveled for 3 days into Etham wilderness and camped at Marah. They left Marah and camped at Elam, where there were 12 sprigs of water and 70 palm trees. They left Elam and camped beside the Red Sea. They left the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. They left the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dophkah. They left Dophkah and camped at Alush. They left Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They left Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They left the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth-Hattava. They left Kibroth-Hattava and camped at Hazeroth. They left Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah. They left Rithmah and camped at Rimmon-Perez. They left Rimmon-Perez and camped at Libnah. They left Libnah and camped at Rissah. They left Rissah and camped at Kehelathah. They left Kehelathah and camped at Mount Sephir. They left Mount Sephir and camped at Heradah. They left Heradah and camped at Makaloth. They left Makaloth and camped at Tahath. They left Tahath and camped at Tira. They left Tira and camped at Mithkah. They left Mithkah and camped at Hashmanah. They left Hashmanah and camped at Moseroth. They left Moseroth and camped at Benajakin. They left Benajakin and camped at Horah-Hagadad. They left Horah-Hagadad and camped at Jothbethah. They left Jothbethah and camped at Abranah. They left Abranah and camped at Ezion-Geber. They left Ezion-Geber and camped at Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin. I conquered that. That was a long list. It's still going, but there's a little break in between. Holy Hannah. They left Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor on the border of Edom. While they were at the foot of Mount Hor, Aaron asked the priest, directed by the Lord, to go up the mountain, and there he died. This happened in the midsummer on the 1st day of the 5th month, and the 40th year after Israel's departure from Egypt. Aaron was 123 years old when he died there on Mount Hor. At that time, the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev in the land of Canaan, heard that the people of Israel were approaching his land. Meanwhile, the Israelites had left Mount Hor and camped at Zalmonah. They left Zalmonah and camped at Punan. They left Punan and camped at Oboth. They left Oboth and camped at Abiram on the border of Moab. They left Abiram and camped at Dibon Gad. They left Dibon Gad and camped at Almon Diblathaim. They left Almon Diblathaim and camped in the mountains east of the river, near Mount Nebo. They left the mountains east of the river and camped on the plains of Moab, beside the Jordan River, across from Jericho. Along from the Jordan River, they camped at Beth Jeshimoth, as far as the meadows of Acacia, on the plains of Moab. While they were camped near the Jordan River on the plains of Moab, opposite of Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you cross the Jordan River into the land of Canaan, you must drive out all the people living there. You must destroy all their carved and molten images and demolish all their pagan shrines. Take possession of the land and settle in it, because I have given it to you to occupy. You must distribute the land among the clans by sacred law and in proportion to their size. A larger portion of land will be allotted to each of the larger clans, and a smaller portion will be allotted to each of the smaller clans. The decision of the sacred law is final. It is this way: the portions of the land will be divided among your ancestral tribes, but if you fail to drive out the people who lived in the land, those who remain will be like splinters in your eye and thorns in your side. They will harass you in the land where you live, and I will do to you what I had planned to do to them." All right, there we go. Julie, you'd think so, huh? That's a lot of camping. I wouldn't want to do it unless I was in a glamper, big old RV. Like, leave me out of this. I'm not camping in no tent. Have we met? All right, let's do Trim Healthy Mama Devotions, day 69. Feel their pain. Did you know that while we live in comparative ease and comfort, 200 million Christians across the world are currently suffering from some form of persecution? And did you know that over 100,000 believers are murdered each year for their faith? We dare not forget about these persecuted believers. I believe we have a responsibility to pray for them every day. If we were being persecuted, we would certainly like to know that others were praying for us, wouldn't we? As you gather your family to pray together each morning and evening, remind one another to pray for the persecuted church. Hebrews 13:3 says, "Remember them that are in bonds, and bound with them, and them which suffer adversity, as being yourselves also in the body." The NLT says, "Remember those in prison as if you were there yourself. Remember also those being mistreated as if you felt the pain in your own body." That's pretty clear, isn't it? Check the internet for a list of countries where believers are being persecuted. The list is too long to print here. In our home, we like to take a country where believers are persecuted and pray for it for a week before we go on to the next one. Praying families shake the world. Idle hands. Bassie, what are you doing? Come here. Idle hands. Proverbs 19:15 says, "Laziness casts one into a deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger." Pearl says, "My husband just walked into the room carrying a huge peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a grin. He suggested that we write on the topic of idle hands. He'd already had a big lunch followed by a dessert, on plan, of course, but today was his day off from working hard all week, and he found himself idle, thinking only of food." Eating is something to do. It passes the time and can take away boredom. Snacks are important, but grazing is a trap. A practical remedy for overeating is eating when you're not truly hungry. Do you have a sock? Give me that. What are you doing? You don't take socks. Sorry. A practical remedy for overeating when you're not truly hungry is to find a hobby that keeps your hands busy or takes you away from the refrigerator and kitchen cupboards. Reading and watching TV are usually not the best choices if mindless eating is your problem. Evenings are a particularly dangerous time. The rush of the day is over, and you want to chill out. Knitting, crocheting, painting, making jewelry, playing the guitar, and cross-stitching are great ways to keep your hands busy. Our sister Vange is a knitting fanatic. She spins her own wool, dyes it naturally, and then creates incredible clothes to give others. We even have to remind her to eat when she's deep into a project. Find a new hobby, a new passion that does not harmonize well with nibbling on food. Serene and Pearl. Heavenly music. God is the musician. We are the instruments. When we neglect his guiding hands, we have no purpose. Our existence was created to create music. When we are not creating music, all we're doing is collecting dust particles and growing more and more out of pitch. Okay. Here we go. Thank you for joining me this morning for devotions. I got through it even though I can't see anything. I need to find my glasses before breakfast. So for brekkie this morning, I'm going to be making a recipe. I think it's a deep ass. What? I think it's a deep ass, and it's called what's it called, Bessie? Easy breezy rice, maybe? Easy breakfast rice, breezy breakfast rice, breezy rice. I don't know. But it sounds awful, and I'm going to make it anyway. Because it might be my new favorite, even though it sounds horrible. I got it off the membership site, so we'll give it a go and see what it's like, and maybe we'll all find a new favorite. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining me, and I should be live for breakfast in just a few minutes. I got to let someone out, and I have to go hunt for a bag of cauliflower rice because I think I have one bag left, but I couldn't find it right before I got on devotion. So if I can't find it, we'll be having bacon and eggs or something, green beans and eggs, because I'm not sure where it is, but I'll go hunt. I think it's in the... You have time for a quick shower, Faith. I gotta let the dog pee too. Yep. Go get in the shower. I'm not talking to you. Don't you go get in the shower. It would make a mess. Come here. He is wound right. Look at this dog. Well, now he's going to walk away. Bessie. Oh. And say hi. He's foolish now that he doesn't have to have his harnesses on and he knows it. He's back to his old dancing foolish self. So, all right, I'll see you in a few minutes for breakfast. I love you guys. Bye.